We're talking today to Charlie Taylor. Hi, Charlie, and a warm welcome.
Hello, Jono. Thank you for having me.
As background, where are you based?
I live in Taitung, Taiwan. It's a small community on the southeast coast of Taiwan. It's a little bit more rural. We've got some very nice mountains and lovely ocean, so it's a good place to live.
Yeah, and you're from Canada originally.
I am in Canada, that's right.
Yeah, and what kind of teaching are you doing?
I work at National Taitung Senior High School, which is a boys' high school, and we have about 1,000 students here. And I teach EFL classes, and in the evenings I teach at the local university, National Taitung University.
Okay, and you've written an article which I really enjoyed for the September-October edition of MET called Developing Professionally Without Breaking the Bank. So for our listeners, could you describe the main issue or the big problem that you've identified?
Well, the main issue that I was talking about was the disconnect between research in the field of second language acquisition and what actually happens in classrooms, in EFL and ESL classrooms around the world. And it seems to me that one of the problems is that teachers don't have easy access to the latest research. So a lot of classroom practitioners are still working with techniques that are sort of 60, 70 years out of date. And there are several issues there. One is that there's a cost factor involved. Accessing this research can be quite expensive. And not all teachers also know how to access the information. So I've provided a few resources to show how you can easily and freely access some of the latest research in the field to help improve your practice and improve the outcomes for your students, hopefully.
Yeah, and so could you give us just one example of one of those resources that people can draw on?
Yeah, well, I mean, apart from Modern English Teacher magazine, of course, which does a good job of synthesizing some of the latest research and packaging it nicely. There's also, for example, a JSTOR is an indexing service that subscribes to many research journals. They've got hundreds of thousands of articles, and to get full access, you need a professional subscription, which is very expensive. But they also have a freemium version. So you can sign up, and normally you can access up to 6 articles a month for free with a freemium version, as long as they're not from the last 3 years. But recently they've allowed up to 100 articles a month. So I think that's enough to keep anybody busy.
Absolutely. Yeah. Actually, just circling back to what you were saying about MET and maybe the role of professional magazines, because in fact, you're a very regular contributor to MET and English Teaching Professional before that. I think this is your 9th article for them. Would that be right?
Could be, yeah. There's been quite a few. Yeah.
And so what do you see as the role of magazines like these in the market? And
well, I mean, I think it's a critical connection between research and practice. The purpose of research really should be, ideally, to improve practice. And if the practitioners aren't getting access to the research, then it's not having any impact. It's not having the impact that it needs to have. So publications like Modern English Teacher magazine, I think, fill a critical role of acting as a connection between the research and what happens in classrooms.
I agree. And just one final question. Any plans for your 10th article? Have you got an idea that you're developing there?
Well, I have a couple, I think, that are already on deck. So they're impressed. They're lined up for the next few issues. But once they're out, I'm getting more and more interested in the emotional aspects of English teaching. So very briefly, in the 1950s, the field was dominated by the behaviorists, and then they've been sort of moved out by the cognitive theories of language acquisition. But over the last decade or so, the positive psychology movement has been starting to rear its head in second language acquisition. And I think this has the potential to open up some really interesting new fields of research about students' feelings in the classroom, which languages and feelings really can't be separated. So there should be some interesting stuff coming up there.
Yeah, I'll look forward to that. Thanks, Charlie. Great talking to you.
Thank you very much for having me.